The story begins with a boy named Jack, who's excited to meet his online girlfriend for the first time, and she reveals that she's watching him from a cafe. He realizes it's just across the road, so he rushes to meet her, but she suddenly tells him to stop and run in a circle 3 times. He happily fulfills her request, but Truck-kun runs him over, and he survives the hit, but a meteor suddenly falls on him and ends his life. Jack wakes up in a strange place and notices a man who tells him it's his second time there. He flies away on a jetpack, and Jack sees a tube, so he wonders where it leads to, but a jetpack also appears on his back, and he also goes through the tube. He sees that the man has been put up for auction, but no one places a bid on him since he didn't achieve much when he was reincarnated the first time. A strange creature finally places a bid on him, but he turns into a bacterium, and the jetpack flies Jack onto the stage. Everyone's surprised to see a human from Earth, and they all want him to be on their planet, but they realize he has an irregular soul, which causes them to lose interest in him. He's sent to a giant gacha machine, and he sees a beautiful girl, who tells him it's the place where his fate will be decided. She sees the look on his face, and wonders if something's wrong with him, so he notes that he's just having a hard time processing what's going on. She explains that most people are confused when they first arrive there, but he notes that it isn't what he's talking about, and he leans closer to smell her, so she threatens to make him wander the darkness of dead spirits forever. She reveals that she's the goddess, so he notes that he already thought it was the case, because only a goddess can be that beautiful. He asks about her chest size, so she hits him in the head, and tells him to watch a video. She shows him his final moments, and he wonders if she got permission to film him, since it's a crime to film someone without their consent, but she tells him the laws don't apply to her. He realizes that when his girlfriend was texting him, she was actually with her real boyfriend, and the goddess notes that he's been in a number of accidents every time he tried to meet his girlfriend, so she thinks his life is like a comedy routine. She tells him he's in the place where people who died miserable deaths are given a second chance, and notes that it's like a waiting room for otherworld reincarnations, telling him he'll be reborn into anything he wants. She puts him in a ball, and as he rolls around, she tells him to be silent if he doesn't want to be reborn as a bacterium with a 10,000-year lifespan. He's surprised he has the option to choose how he wants to be reborn, since it doesn't happen in the stories that he read, so she notes that she's a better goddess than the others, but tells him popular destinations have a wait time. She asks him if he wants to go to a world that a goddess quit making halfway, but he doesn't like it, so she calls him picky. He finds a world that he likes, so he transforms into a hero and prepares to go there, but he's surprised to learn that the wait time is over 50,000 years. She notes that if he waits 500 years, he can go to a village where everyone only says one line of dialogue. There are less popular worlds, like the one where he can be a hero, but everyone will laugh at him behind his back, and it has a wait time of only 5 minutes. He asks her about a demon king, so she transforms him into a demon, but tells him he needs to wait over 27,000 years. He wonders how long he needs to wait if he goes to a world where the demon king is defeated, since he thinks he can enjoy a harem of girls until his death, but she tells him the wait time is still thousands of years. She mentions a world where the demon king gets laughed at behind his back, and notes that he would only need to wait 8 minutes, but he doesn't want to go there. She tells him he can go to a better world if he thinks about something no one has ever thought of, but she knows he'll be stuck there for a long time, since he's a pervert who wants beautiful girls and adventure. She tells him to hurry, because a show she likes is about to air, and threatens to turn him into a microbe if she misses it. She explains that if he chooses a world and lives an unsatisfactory life, he'll end up back there, so he should make sure he doesn't screw it up. He finally makes his decision, and notes that he wants to be a hero with overpowered skills, along with a harem of girls and a happy ending, but she tells him he would need to wait over 60,000 years, so he asks to be the hero's rib instead. She's surprised by his request, but he explains that being the hero's rib will mean that beautiful girls will feel him up all the time, and she realizes he isn't as greedy as she thought. As she prepares to send him off, she tells him to be careful, and he thanks her since she's the only girl who has ever been nice to him, but she shocks him before he leaves. After that, the goddess watches her favorite show, but Jack suddenly returns, and he's about to fall on her, so she punches him away. She already knew he would come back, and he mentions that he had a good time, but he returned because he didn't get a happy ending. He prepares to tell her everything, but she stops him and notes that she can just watch his life on TV. She sees the hero who Jack became a rib of, and he defeated all the monsters in his path, so everyone thanked him, and the pretty girls hugged him, which made Jack happy. He shows the goddess the girl he likes the most, but the girl and the hero heard him confess his feelings to her, and the hero checked his body to see where the noise was coming from. Jack told him he had become one of his ribs, so the hero pulled him out, but it turned out to be the wrong rib, and Jack was still in his body. The rib he ripped out transformed into his clone, and as the goddess watches them fight, she thinks the original hero must have won since he had overpowered skills, but Jack reveals that the clone had the same skills. The clone ended up winning, since he had an extra rib, and the hero disappeared, leaving only his ribs behind. The clone started to talk, but the goddess wonders why Jack is fast-forwarding it, so he explains it was a long monologue. He awakened the other ribs and prepared to merge with them, but they all had their own will, so they ended up fighting each other. The 5th right rib and the 7th left rib had a huge fight, which ruined the planet, but the goddess thinks their names are ruining the story, and the 10th left rib decided to make clones using his own ribs. But he wore a mind control mask, which allowed him to control them. 2 of the ribs fell in love with each other, while Jack was bitten by an animal heroine, but he enjoyed the experience. The 3rd left rib performed a rib miracle and won the fight, and everyone except for Jack was buried. He was eventually found by a heroine who liked farming, and she turned him into fertilizer, but he wasn't satisfied with his life, so he ended up returning to the goddess. She mentions that he had fun during his lifetime, but he explains that he isn't ready to move on, since he still wants her to fill him up. But she notes that if she did that, she would need to burn him to ashes. He wonders if he could be used as fertilizer if she did that, so she tells him it's time to find out and burns him up. But she realizes there are no plants there, and she immediately revives him. He tells her he has no idea where he wants to get reincarnated next, so she gives him a box-like creature, which will tell him the world he should go to. As he shakes it, it becomes dizzy and spits out a lottery ball, which has hermit crab written on it. Jack tells the goddess he used to live a normal life, which is why he's attracted to bright things, and he was single all his life, and he even went on an archaeological expedition to find a girlfriend. She refuses to believe him, and he mentions that he made the last part up, so she electrocutes him once again. She's glad that even though he's a pathetic otaku, he didn't spend his life in a room addicted to video games, so he tells her he prefers the outside world. He mentions that he went to the arcade 3 times a week, but she refuses to count it as going outside, and he wonders how much of her affection meter he has filled. She tells him it's at 95%, so he praises her to raise it to 98, and he wonders what will happen if it reaches 100, so she notes that she'll fall in love with him and mount him on a wall. Before she sends him to the new world as a hermit crab, she gives him all the possible options without increasing the wait time, since she doesn't want him to die instantly. He gets reincarnated again, but he ends up returning to the goddess, and he's about to fall on her, so she blows him up. She puts a cable into his head to see what he did as a hermit crab, and she learns that after he was reborn, he was taken in by the hero thanks to a bonus she gave him. He became the hero's ultimate weapon, but the hero eventually came to his senses and didn't understand why he teamed up with a hermit crab. He couldn't get rid of Jack due to a curse, so he just put Jack back in the water, but he still belonged to the hero. He found the sea goddess Latasha and freed her from her captors, but a huge monster suddenly appeared. Jack got injured when he fought it, but he was able to damage one of its eyes, and he was saved by a fish that was sunbathing, but she refuses to believe he's telling the truth. The fish became his master, but after it died, he gained an ultimate ability. He went back to fight the monster, and defeated it by cutting its head off, but she's disappointed he didn't use his ultimate attack. After that, Jack starts to date Latasha, and he wonders if the goddess is jealous, but she doesn't understand why he came back if he had a happy ending. He explains that Latasha died when she tried to equip him, since he still belonged to the hero, so he went to get revenge on him. But they ended up recognizing each other's strength, and the hero asked Jack to help defeat the ruler of Purgatory Glazray. Jack went to fight Glazray, and mentioned that he would avenge the hero's death, but he was too small for Glazray to notice. The goddess doesn't understand when the hero died, so he notes that after the hero entrusted his power to Jack, he was killed by Glazray's servants. Jack defeated Glazray with his ultimate ability, and he mentions that its death was just like his master's, so she realizes Jack used the same ability on him. He notes that even though he saved the world, no one accepted him since he was a hermit crab, which is why he died of old age with unfulfilled goals. The goddess thinks he lived a satisfactory life since he saved the world, but he explains that he isn't satisfied because a girl never equipped him, so she realizes that's the main thing he wants. He gives her canned salmon as a gift, but she doesn't understand why he would eat it, since it's the same kind of fish as his master. She mentions that his gift has increased her affection meter to 100, so it's time to mount him, but he asks her to do it while he's in his hermit crab form. She fulfills his request and puts him in a box, but as she prepares to change her clothes, he suddenly breaks free, so she obliterates him and revives him in his original body. He notes that he couldn't control himself, since the noises she made stimulated his imagination, so she crushes him to the ground. After that, Jack shakes the box again, and it spits out another lottery ball, which has the door to the Demon King's castle written on it. He gets reincarnated as a door in the Demon King's castle, but he wonders why they're using the same place in animation to send him to the new world, so she explains that all studios in the anime industry are short-handed. He eventually returns again, and she tells him she's hungry, so he starts to cook food for her, but she puts the wire in his head to watch his life. He mentions that he was the right door in the throne room at first, but when a demon tried to enter the room, he sneezed and ended up crushing it. He explains that it was dusty, and notes that because the Demon King was holding a lion, his cat allergy was triggered. One of the demons, known as the Undefeated General, arrived to meet the Demon King, but Jack crushed him repeatedly. She's surprised to see the demon isn't dead yet, so Jack explains that he was extremely strong, but Jack eventually crushed him to death. He ended up killing most of the generals, and learned that the left door was also reincarnated, but they didn't get along with each other, since the left door was loyal to the Demon King. The goddess doesn't understand why the Demon King didn't get rid of him, so he explains that because of his special power, the Demon King thought he was hearing things in his head whenever he talked. His army started to lose to the humans, and a hero eventually appeared to face him, but the hero couldn't defeat the Demon King, since he had an ability that made him stronger every time he was about to die. The Demon King attacked the hero with a fireball, while the left door fired a laser beam, but the hero blocked it with his shield. Jack couldn't do anything since he could only open and close, and the left door fired an energy ball to attack him, but he deflected it, and it ended up hitting the Demon King, causing him to explode. The hero celebrated with his 12 heroines, but one of them had cat ears, which made Jack sneeze, and he accidentally crushed the hero to death. The heroines blamed him for the hero's death, so they ganged up on him and destroyed everything in the Demon King's castle. Jack serves curry fried rice to the goddess, but she doesn't recognize the table they're eating on, so he explains that he turned the left door into a table, and she finds the food delicious. The gods hold a meeting where they discuss how the creator god made the first world from chaos, and the other gods were born from him, which led to the birth of the multiverse. They think it's their duty to ascend to new heights, and their worlds need to evolve for that to happen, which is why they reincarnate people from different places into their worlds. Jack catches their eyes, since he's extremely irregular, but they can't do anything to him because he's with the goddess, so they decide to just keep an eye on him. They're also interested in the canned fish Jack brought for the goddess, so one of them mentions that he ate it, and notes that it was the most delicious thing he's ever eaten, which makes the others want to try it as well. Meanwhile, Jack tries to flirt with the goddess, so she increases the gravity by 10 times to smash him to the ground. But he notes that he still wants her to sit in his lap no matter what she does, so she increases the gravity 100 times and crushes him to death. After she respawns him, she notes that she didn't revive him so he could waste his time drinking tea, and she threatens to take away his sense of taste and smell. But he tells her that if she wants to change his body, she should make him tall and slim. She warns him she can also make him small, but he changes the topic and notes that it's time for his next reincarnation. He shakes the box and gets a ball, which tells him he'll be reincarnated as the second hand in a clock tower, so the goddess congratulates him, since his wish of becoming tall and slim has been fulfilled. After Jack is sent to the new world, the goddess wonders how he's doing, but he comes back again, so she puts the port in his head to see what he did in his new life. He was reincarnated in the biggest clock tower in the hero's kingdom, but the other 2 hands were also reincarnations, and they were made of wood from the world tree and jewels, while he was made from dark matter. They hated the couples flirting near the clock tower, so they showed the wrong time to mess with them, and when the clock struck 12, he attacked the couples with his spell, but it only entertained them. He ended up hitting the king, so he decided to break the clock tower, but the people protested to stop it from happening, and the hero was against it as well. The king backed off, but he told the hero to find out why the clock tower could cast spells, so he investigated it and took off the hour hand. After that, everyone enjoyed a period of peace, but Jack couldn't take it anymore and ended up hitting the king again, so he wanted to destroy the clock tower. Everyone along with the Demon King opposed him, but he told the Demon King to fix the situation, so he listened to his granddaughter and removed the minute hand. We learn that nobody could see Jack, since he was made from dark matter, and he once again hits the king after a week. So he tried to tear down the clock tower again, but a man named Tanaka protested against it. The goddess doesn't recognize him, so Jack mentions that he was a normal man who came to the clock tower to be hit by the magic spell since he likes the pain. But something was off about him, since the king bowed to him the whole time, and he could see Jack as well. The Demon King suddenly attacked the town, so Jack hit them with a meteor shower, and a few of the meteors looked like cute animals, but he ended up eliminating everyone including himself. He gives the minute hand to the goddess as a gift, and after he prepares ramen, he tries to feed it to her, but she burns him to ashes. After she respawns him, she tells him to eat the noodles before they become soggy, but his chopsticks turn to dust, so she gives him the ones she used. After that, Jack chooses a world where he's the voice inside the hero's head, who tells him he has leveled up, and he asks the goddess to make the hero a girl. He promises not to do anything weird, but she notes that if he has any ulterior motives, the hero will end up being a boy. He gets reincarnated again, but he comes back after some time, and the goddess notices he's in bad spirits. He notes that his plan of whispering dirty words into the hero's head failed, and she thinks she deserves a raise for stopping it from happening. He mentions that he started to work for the hero Shu when he first leveled up at the age of 10, and he didn't like how Shu reacted to him, so Jack played metal music in his head. He eventually accepted Jack after 5 years, but the goddess thinks he just wasted Shu's precious time, since he didn't even help him level up during that period. Shu finally went on an adventure, and the first enemy he faced was a slime, but he couldn't hit it, so Jack told Shu to switch with him. He just freestyled until Shu leveled up, and all the other people who reincarnated in Shu's head got angry at him, which made Shu lose his mind. Jack doesn't remember how Shu leveled up, but as he reached level 10, one of the voices in his head died, so they realized that whenever he leveled up to a multiple of 10, one of them would be eliminated. Shu worked hard and reached level 50, but Jack was still alive, so the goddess notes that nothing happened to the one who started everything, while everyone else had been eliminated. They wanted to stop Shu, but all they could do was talk to him, which only made him angrier. He eventually learned how to enter his mind, and eliminated all of the voices, but Jack defeated him since he was level 80. Shu asked the Demon King to help him defeat Jack, but he was no match for Jack, who started to make a lot of noise, and Shu was about to lose it. But he came up with an idea, and turned the notification button off, which shut out Jack's voice. The goddess wonders why he didn't think of it earlier, and Jack gives the goddess a gift card, but she explains that she doesn't need to buy anything, so she uses it to get him new chopsticks. As the goddess watches a romantic movie, she feels the need for a man to hold her, so she tries to hug Jack, but he gets away from her. He knows he can have a lot of fun with her, but he's worried about what will happen after it, and she mentions that she'll surely kill him. She continues to try and get him to hold her, but he decides to do his next reincarnation to get away, and after he shakes the box, he gets a world where he's a vegetable. As he prepares to leave, she tells him to hug her before he goes, but he manages to get past her. He comes back after a while, and he wonders if the goddess has calmed down, but she still feels the same way. He puts the cable into his head to play his life on TV, and he reveals that he was born as a tomato hero who needed to fight the Demon King. He looked for allies, but only an old security guard heard him, and he made the guard join him. She wonders how Jack got him to help, so he explains that he used his charm as a lovable guy, but she tells him to share his love with her as well. He turned the old man into an onion, which had the power to make people cry, but she thinks he must have wanted to cry because of what happened to him. Jack shows her the old man, and mentions that their first enemy was a cook, but she isn't surprised by how ridiculous his story is. He distracted the cook with the old man's body, and used the chance to transfer the cook's soul into an eggplant, which he brought with him as well. He shows her a box of vegetables, and notes that they were all part of his party, but she isn't sure if they're edible. He reveals that most of them were killed, so he had to recruit more companions, and only 4 of them made it to the Demon King's castle. He mentions that his party included the old man who became an onion, a tofu martial artist, and the evil dragon god. She can't believe they made it that far, and thinks the dragon was the reason they reached the castle, but Jack reveals that he was the weakest among them. He tells her the dragon was only level 78, while his other companions were over level 90, but his level was 872, so she realizes he added a level-breaking option when she wasn't looking. As they came face to face with the Demon King, Jack was surprised that he was the same person they had met in a bar. But the goddess thinks it was obvious considering the way he looks, and she's more surprised that Jack became his friend and turned him into a potato. She thinks the Demon King must have been angry at Jack for it, but he notes that the Demon King was annoyed that he got the dragon on his side by giving him treats. He notes that the dragon's favorite treat was eggplant, which makes her realize why the cook isn't there, but Jack mentions that he doesn't have a big appetite, so he only ate half of the eggplant. As they started to fight, the Demon King's sword cut through space and time, but the goddess tells him she can see the anime's staff through the cut. The tofu martial artist stopped the Demon King's attack, while the onion told him a sad story, which made him cry. The dragon burned everything down while he was distracted, and Jack slashed the Demon King in half, allowing peace to return to the land. After that, the people planted Jack in a field, since they didn't want the hero to rot, and he notices that the goddess has finally calmed down. He plans to make curry for her using the vegetables, but she still tells him to hold her while he cooks, which freaks him out. She eventually returns to her senses, and he tries to get close to her to test it, but she turns him to dust. She finds it strange that he comes back every time without any change in his expressions, so he mentions that he found a way to avoid pain, and notes that it's almost time to be reincarnated again. He shakes the box again, and he's about to be reincarnated as a lock on a treasure chest, so he tries to give himself overpowered skills, but she stops him and reminds him that locks aren't supposed to fight. He gets reincarnated once more, and eventually comes back again, but the goddess just tells him to help her open a safe, since she keeps snacks in there to make sure he doesn't eat them. She puts the port in his head, and he reveals that he was the lock on a treasure chest in the holy temple, but she thinks it looked incredibly cheap. He notes that the key was in the other room, and it was made out of gold and jewels, so she realizes it's where all the money went. He reveals that the Demon King was in the treasure chest, and he was folded 6 times to make sure he fit, which makes her think he must already be dead. Jack notes that the Demon King tried to destroy the world, so he was trapped in the chest, and he kept on raging about taking revenge on God. He mentioned that he could forgive God for making the demons and humans fight, but he could never forgive him for putting lemon on his wings without asking. Jack told him to forget about it, and he was angry that a lock was giving him advice, so Jack put lemon juice in the chest to mess with him. He filled the chest with vegetable oil as well, but it ended up awakening the Demon King since he was a fish. The priests panic and put a second barrier on the chest, but it burned the vegetable oil, so they had no idea what to do. An old man appeared with the key, but it was too big for the lock, so Jack freaked out and sprayed his eyes with lemon juice, which made him angry, and it turned out that the old man was God. He took out his holy sword and prepared to strike, but Jack made him slip on oil repeatedly, until he dropped his sword. It broke as it hit the ground, so he cried and fell on the chest, and he gets electrocuted. The goddess wonders how Jack electrocuted him, since she removed that option, so he reveals that the chest was also reincarnated. It ends up electrocuting the Demon King as well, and with both the Demon King and God gone, the world finally becomes peaceful. The chest transforms into a robot, which ends Jack's role as a lock, but he's disappointed since he didn't get to do anything. The goddess thinks he did a lot, and he tries to give her what was left in the chest, but she tells him to just put it back. We see a hero named Tanaka, who enters the Demon King's throne room, and the Demon King prepares to take him on, but he suddenly starts to look around. The Demon King wonders what he's doing, so he explains that he's looking for his lover, and prepares to leave since he can't find her there. The Demon King becomes angry and unleashes his powers, so Tanaka realizes he has no choice but to fight him, and he takes his remains to the capital. The king thanks Tanaka for bringing peace to the kingdom, but he realizes his lover isn't there either, so he walks away and continues to look for her. He defeats the other Demon Kings as he wanders the land, but he still can't find her, and after he passes away, he gets reincarnated into another world where he's still looking for her. We return to Jack, as he tells the goddess that Tanaka made money in his new world by letting people hit him, and she remembers him as a pervert who loves feeling pain. Jack shakes the box again, and he gets a world where he's the string tying the secret ninja scroll, but he notices that the goddess gained weight, so he suggests using a teaspoon of olive oil a day. She makes him drink bottles of olive oil before sending him away, and she runs on a treadmill while he's gone. She realizes she lost weight, so she decides to reward herself by eating cakes, but Jack suddenly returns, so she plugs the cable into his head and tells him to run on the treadmill while he gives his report. Jack reveals that he was reincarnated in a world where the heat was intense, so the legendary ninja Erkan wrote a technique in his secret scroll, which allows the user to make even the harshest environments tolerable. He used it to cool the environment, but he couldn't sustain it for a long time, since it burned through his chakra. He decided to seal it away, and realized that Jack was covered in olive oil, which made him cry since he was a neat freak, but he had no choice but to use him. He tied Jack around the scroll and left him in a cave, but after 100 years, a goddess had a fight with her husband, which made her turn into a dragon. She froze the entire world, so an American ninja named Felix decided to look for the secret scroll. He went to the village that has the map to the secret scroll, but he was electrocuted when he touched the doorknob at the entrance, and the villagers told him to leave. He went to a nearby shop, where he bought insulated gloves, and he tried to open the door again, but he still got shocked. He realized he got scammed, so he threw them away and broke through the entrance, but he was immediately surrounded. He ran past the ninjas and stole the map, so they chased him, but he used his jetpack to reach the cave. He finally found the secret scroll, but Jack realized Felix was more handsome than he is, so he threw olive oil to keep him away. Felix couldn't get close to him, but he used his love jutsu to untie him and learned Erkan's secret technique. He used it to save the world, and Jack taught him how to speak Japanese so that he could speak to the other ninjas. But Jack didn't enjoy the rest of his life, so he returned to the goddess. He shows her the gloves Felix used, and he becomes exhausted from running, but she tells him he needs to run another 15 kilometers. After that, the goddess receives a gift, so she opens it and realizes it's a kimono, but she doesn't know who sent it. She tells Jack it's time for his next reincarnation, so he shakes the box again and gets a world where he's the feelings of a single man who sees a couple kissing. She wonders why he's crying, so he explains that he experienced that feeling countless times, but she just tells him to have fun and sends him away. The goddess wears the kimono, but Jack suddenly returns and tells her it looks great on her. She plugs the cable into his head, and he reveals that he was reincarnated as the feelings of a loser who saw a couple kissing in front of him. He became jealous and ran toward them, but Jack played samba music in his head, which immediately calmed him down. He tried to explain himself to the couple, but they both thought he was creepy, and Jack switched to death metal, which caused the man to fall into a fountain. Jack abandoned him after he lost consciousness, and he went to a stage play where the lead actor was single. He started his performance, but he became jealous when he saw a couple kissing, and Jack made him go berserk. He hugged the other actor and beat him up for real, which made the couple afraid of him, and he started to act like a kid. The couple crawled away, but they realized that the other people enjoyed his performance, and he couldn't believe he was able to entertain the crowd. He realized he needed to be jealous whenever he performed, so he looked for a couple he could hire to kiss in front of him, and after several attempts, a couple finally agreed to work with him. He stared at them during his plays, which allowed him to perform at his best, and he became so popular that everyone started to copy him. But the man who Jack abandoned was jealous of his popularity, and he transformed into the Demon King. He tried to get famous by copying the comedian, but nobody liked his jokes, and they had a comedy battle, where they both watched couples kissing to improve their performance. The crowd enjoyed their battle, and they seemed to be evenly matched, but the comedian unleashed his ultimate technique, which allowed him to defeat the Demon King. The goddess wonders why she didn't see the technique, so Jack explains that she needs a limited edition box to watch it, and notes that the comedian brought peace to the world. But the couple he hired broke up, since the boy didn't wash his teeth after he ate kimchi. After that, a rumor spread throughout the world that couples who engaged in PDA would break up, so Jack finally met his end. He gives the goddess the limited edition box and a bonus item, and they watch the comedian's ultimate technique, but we see a god spying on them, and he seems to find them interesting. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.